Welcome to Resiliency Redefined. I'm your host, Robyne, and I am thrilled to share with you information about resiliency, well-being, performance, education, business, parenting, and everything in between. I'm committed to joining you each week to talk about these big ideas and bring them into action, habits, tools, strategies, tactics that allow us to finally uncover what it takes to truly be well. And I'm just so excited that you're here. On today's episode, we have Jam Gamble. Yeah, you heard that right. We are going to talk about all things about our voice, being able to have confidence, to trust our intuition, trust our instincts, to be able to find places and spaces where we're able to speak up, where we're able to strengthen who we are, our sense of belonging and community. So again, please listen to this episode. Dive right in here with Jam. She is a force of nature. I am so appreciative for her gift of time to be able to be on this episode today. And wait till stay tuned to the very end, because we have a moment where we oh my goodness, who knew that two grown women could get that excited about a Disney short? Okay, tune into this episode, and I'm so glad you're here. Welcome back to Resiliency Redefined. Today, this is going to be fun. Buckle up, because we have Jam Gamble on the show today. I'm so excited to welcome you to the podcast. Thank you for making time for us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited.
Yeah. And just so the listeners know, this is a woman who, oh my gosh, all the things, a coach, a speaker, I love a mic slayer. This is a woman who
Yep.
is amplifying voices, and she is in hot demand, and she made time for this recording while she was on a holiday. So I do just want to give a special shout out for people who say, hey, I committed to this. I'm going to follow through. Plans change, but doesn't matter, Robyne. I'm going to be there locked in. So thank you for that, Jam. And I'm so glad that we can have a conversation today.
I mean, it's on brand. We're talking about resiliency,
Yeah.
and resiliency sometimes requires rest. And in order to be resilient, we need rest and we need time to recharge. And I think I could have rescheduled, but I'm like, I'm going to be at my most optimal zone right now.
Yeah.
So
I love it.
let's do this.
Yeah. And so one of the things, there are so many threads in your work that I was like, oh, we could talk about this and we can talk about that. And one of the real pieces that stuck out for me, and again, when people said, hey, Robyne, I would love to see you in conversation with Jam, was the piece about using our voices and this idea of belonging. And how when we find the right people and create safe spaces, that we're able to really come together again, to be resilient in difficult situations. And one of the concepts that I talk about in my work is this idea that there's not really safe spaces, there's safe people. And I
Mm.
love this idea that when you wrote on your social media that when you speak up on behalf of yourself or someone, you're already being a change agent. And I'm sorry, I probably butchered that quote. I didn't get it right. But this idea that as soon as we
Close
stand up,
enough. Yeah.
we are already part of the change that we want to see. So tell me more about this. I'm just so fascinated by how you've braided these ideas together.
Yeah, I'm glad you pointed that out, because when we think about safe spaces, it's become a very common term that we use when we're event planning, we're building community. This is a safe space. And yes, it's great that you have a safe environment, but how are you using your voice to ensure that others feel safe? What
Mhm.
are you saying to them? How are you reassuring them? How are you holding verbal space that if
Yeah.
somebody is speaking about something that's heavy, like I went through a hate crime a few years ago, and it continues to be something I'm working on in making sure I feel safe
Yeah.
in environments. And when somebody says, I'm so sorry you went through that, I could only imagine how hard it is for you to talk about something that was so scary and so
Yeah.
challenging for you. When I hear that in their words and I hear it in their tone, that establishes that safe environment for me, that
Yeah.
I feel like, yeah, I could come into this space, I could let my guard down, I could take the mask off, I could cry, I could shout, I could do all the things because this person has given me all the green check marks that I am safe to do so.
Yeah, so beautifully said. And again, I am sorry that you've navigated what you've had to navigate. And again, that vulnerability of sharing that out loud. It's one thing
Mm,
when we share it, with loved ones in very particular places and spaces, but the fact that you use your platform to let people know, like, this happens, like this is something
mm.
that happens. And one of the curiosities I have on that, and so often I hear people say when, people are talking about difficult content or people are talking about things that, they don't even kind of know what to say, they often say nothing. Right. They're like, oh, I don't want to screw it up. I don't want to make a mistake. And I see that in so many different areas where people are like, it's better just to be quiet because I don't want to screw it up, offend anyone. I don't want to get canceled, like whatever it might
Yeah.
be. And one of my curiosities is, again, how do we help people recognize that staying silent is actually like that's not that's not what you have to do. Like there's ways that we can say it even if we're not even sure what to say.
Right. Oh my gosh, that just brought me back to a workshop I did 2 weeks ago, and I was in a room talking about what I went through, and somebody had raised their hand and said, "Oh, well, my supervisor or whoever oversees their role, this person, for sure creates a safe environment for me to feel like I could show up and use my voice." And I'm like, "Whoa!" Like I just said.
Yeah.
I went through a hate crime.
Yes.
I just said that these are the people who witnessed what I was going through and did nothing. And you wanted to get brownie points because your
Yeah.
supervisor was in the room. You're like, well, that's your situation, but my situation
Mhm.
is the polar opposite.
Yeah.
When you choose to turn turn a cheek, be silent, you're essentially saying to that person, your discomfort is irrelevant to me.
Yeah.
What's more important is my safety. What's more important is my security.
Mhm.
And I'd rather not acknowledge the elephant in your room because
Yes.
I need to acknowledge the elephant in my room instead. It's,
Mhm.
it's way more important. And it's dismissive. It's
Yeah.
dismissive. So I have had situations where people are speaking their truth, they're talking about their lived experiences, and I want to engage them in conversation. And I preface my question with, "I'm not sure if I'm going to say this right,
I love
and
that.
I'm apologizing right now if
Yeah.
the words I'm using are incorrect."
Yeah.
And then I go into that. Just stating that point, that person's like, "Okay, so you do care." And
Yes.
you're acknowledging you're not sure if you're doing this right. We're not, everything we say and do, it's not always going to come out right. But I think
Exactly.
if we preface with accountability and
Yeah.
saying, guide me, correct me,
Yeah.
challenge me, ensures that that person is like, you actually are invested in what I
Yeah.
have to say
Yeah.
versus like, I'm not going to say anything at all because your discomfort is more important than me feeling safe and me feeling valued.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes, yes, yes. And you know what I think so often about that example that you said about that person who said, "Well, oh, my experience is this and my supervisor this." It's like you experienced discomfort obviously hearing what you shared, and
Mhm.
instead of trying to recognize the reality, the truth, the lived experience, as you said, this person chose their own comfort, right? They were like, "Ooh, gross, big feeling, don't want to deal with it, so instead I'm going to do bring it over here." And it's the same as, when somebody says like, "Oh, you're okay." You're okay. It's like you're saying that because you're trying to tell yourself you're okay because you're uncomfortable sitting in my experience with me. Again, trying to exercise compassion or empathy. So, yeah, I absolutely appreciate that. And it's so one of the things I often think about in terms of what you described is recognizing like not everyone is like entitled to our story, right? And even though we might
That
choose to
part,
share it some places, if you're going to act like that, then you're not going to get the rest of it.
Dr. Robin, I got a story for you again. Oh my gosh, yes, that piece. I was at a retreat, a conference, actually, it's like a conference retreat I was speaking at. And
Yes.
they put us up in groups. Now, group work is sometimes my strength and sometimes it could be my greatest weakness depending on what
Fair.
my spirit is, right? So we're in a group of 120 women. The majority of these women I do not know, and there were only give or take 5 or 10 racialized women out of that
Mhm.
120. So they wanted us to come into our groups and talk about something that we've overcome so that we could connect with one another. And
Yeah.
as we're going around in the circle, I'm saying to myself, okay, Jam, this is your moment. You've been
Yeah.
carrying the shame of the hate crime. This is your opportunity to speak it out loud. This is your opportunity to reclaim your identity and push
Yes.
out the shame. And you could do it with this group of strangers. And then, there was maybe two people before me, and I said to myself, whoa, these are not the people to
Mm,
hold my trauma.
yeah.
And I recognized that. And when it was my turn, I said, as many of you know, I am a speaker, I'm a vocal empowerment coach, and
Yes.
people often are wired and prepared to hear me speak. But today, I am choosing silence.
Wow.
I said,
Powerful.
I am choosing silence. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm glad that was your group activity, but I'm not understanding the assignment.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, I
I'm
love that. But
I'm
that
not
it
doing
is,
it.
which is so powerful because again, that example illustrates that this doesn't mean we, not necessarily like, it's not that we don't speak up in spaces. It's the fact that we can discern when we're choosing, and that's an expression of power. Right. We can
Mhm.
discern when it's like, yes, this is a place where I do want to share this. Or, you know what? No, like you're not entitled to this part. And I'm choosing because what
Yeah.
matters is that I make sure that I'm okay. So again, I can continue to do the good work. I can continue to learn and to grow and reflect and share. So such a great illustration
And
for that. So thank you.
I think in those moments too, if anybody else is listening, they're like, "Oh, I could resonate with that."
Yeah.
Just because I chose silence that moment, I just, in my way, told my nervous system, "You know when and where is the time, and
Yes.
maybe today was not the time, but there will be a future opportunity." And when that
Absolutely.
future opportunity presents itself, say yes. And this is why now in this episode, I could talk about it without breaking into tears because I have
Yeah.
found small little opportunities for me to practice and to recognize when I feel safe and strong enough to speak about something that was so challenging.
Yeah, I appreciate that clarity. Thank you. And one of the areas that when I'm supporting people and they talk about speaking up and saying their truth, especially in roles of leadership, where they'll say, like, Robin, is it appropriate that I share this with my followership or my group of people? Like, if I'm in this position, and we're having this conversation, is it appropriate for me to share? And one of the things I often encourage people to use just as a wee bit, again, as a tool of discernment, is I tend to share personally. I share things that I have processed, that I have brought full
Mm.
circle. If I am still in an active experience where I feel raw and exposed and vulnerable and I don't know what to do with that experience yet, or I'm still just trying to make my way through it, if I'm in a role of leadership, I would not bring that to the table. Like that's something that
Ooh.
I have to make sure that I've processed because again, I want to be able to use my voice to talk about again, especially I had a very tumultuous adolescence. I had a really bumpy 20hood. So I want to talk about the lessons learned, but I wouldn't bring anything forward that I haven't processed because I don't necessarily think the average person is equipped to necessarily to know how to receive it unless I've done the work. Right. I do the work
Oh,
first and then I bring it forward. So I give the example I just gave to a leader. They're going through a very difficult divorce. And I'm like, dude, this is if you're still getting teary and you're feeling so dysregulated, bringing that forward, you don't need to get into the nitty gritty. You can simply say that you're navigating something very complicated in your personal life, and you might not be showing up how you want to be, but you're doing the work behind the scenes. That's all you have to say. You don't need to get into the prenup and who's at fault. Like, don't even go there. However, in 10 years from now, and you reflect on that experience and it could be a lesson learned for someone else, maybe you could go into more detail. But again, just processing it so then that way we're not exposing ourselves needlessly because the reality is some people can be very cruel. Some people just don't
oh.
know how to handle information. And I don't want people to be re traumatized by being around underskilled people.
That is solid advice. And I feel like we're almost playing this like badminton game of, oh, I got a story for that.
Yeah, yes,
Because
yes.
when I went through my hate crime, which I had no plans of making this episode or even half of this episode to talk about that, but it is part of the most resilient thing I've navigated.
Yes.
I went through this online. At the time, we did not know who my attackers were, the proximity to me. There was a lot of unknowns. But I was also in the midst of my yearly launch.
Yes.
Now, I could not have picked the timing. Okay, I had no control over that. The universe was like, and you're going to navigate this while
Yes.
navigating a season of growth. and transformation and abundance and all those things. And I was not in the headspace because I was carrying a lot of shame
Right.
and actively, like literally, this incident happened maybe 7 days before I was set to start launching. I am in the midst of it. I cannot process. I had
Yeah.
to make my account private. I had to. I was trying. I wanted to delete all my photos off of social media, but I couldn't
Yeah.
do that. So instead, I put out a statement in my stories, just text saying, "I am navigating something challenging right now. Please read the following instructions to ensure that my boundaries are being respected. One, do not ask me what happened.
Yes.
Do not ask me what I am going through. Do
Yeah.
not ask me if I am okay.
Yeah.
Do not ask me if it was this whole list. I go, this
Yeah.
is what I will do. If you have questions about the launch, please contact this person from my team. If you have questions about this, please review this live. I will
Yeah.
not be doing any video content. I will not be doing this and I will not be doing that. Please respect my time while I'm
Yes.
navigating this.
Yes.
The amount of DMs I receive from people saying, I am in awe of
Oh,
how you just set those boundaries like that. Because
yeah.
I had to protect myself. And
Of
it was the
course.
only way. And I didn't put this statement out to be like, oh, this is what we're supposed to do. There is no playbook on how to navigate a hate crime, right?
No.
So I just knew what my capacity was and
Yes.
I set my boundaries accordingly. And before anybody could come and violate, and then I had
Mhm.
to protect myself all over again. Let me just state it for the record.
Yeah.
This is what I'm going to be doing. This is what I'm not going to be doing.
Yeah.
And that is that. And even while navigating all of that mess, there was something about that action that made me feel like I'm still in control
Yes.
despite everything
Yes.
around me being absolutely chaotic.
Yeah, absolutely. And all those matters that are so outside of your control, the uncertainty, the challenge, the stress. And
Yeah.
this is something within your control that you're able to action to say, this is, again, we talk about boundaries in my work as this idea about like life enhancing systems of yeses and nos. So it's this idea that this is a drawbridge around access to me or access to things that matter to me. So this isn't a matter of like, I'm putting up a wall or a boundary because I'm keeping you out. What I'm doing
Mm-hmm.
is I'm controlling what's coming in the sense of having access to something that's actually going to be helpful versus something that might hinder the process. And I got to tell you, whenever I see any woman put up a boundary, I like just want to high five them, cheer out loud, and be like, thank you. Because every boundary we see, it is this permission slip for us to say, I can do that too. And that, again,
Yes.
I think is so important. And again, I love that kind of, I don't know who said this, but that effect of like the only people who take issue with you having boundaries are people that have gotten away with violating your boundaries, right? The only persons
Amen.
that will be mad about you having a boundary are people who walk over your boundaries. So again, the
Amen.
people who get mad at you for having a boundary to say, "Hey, we don't do that," or I'm choosing not to do that." The only people that will have beef with it are people who actually are going to take advantage of you or not respect it
Yes.
anyway. So it's
Yeah.
a great way to know who's on your side and who we want to make sure we keep on that outside of the drawbridge.
1,000%.
Yeah. So I'm so curious that, here we are. And I think that there's this like beautiful opportunity where people are speaking up. People are feeling more, maybe that we're creating more platforms where we can talk. But again, in the example that you illustrated with this horrific thing that happened to you, there is the risk, right? It is
Yes.
sometimes scary. There is reprisal and again, in lots of different places and spaces. And not to suggest for a second that how you were doing your work put you in a position where you could have had that happen. Absolutely not at all. Like that is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is whenever we're forward facing and externally facing, that people have a way to engage with us. How do you mitigate? And again, I love that you have the boundaries in that particular instance that you described. How do you mitigate that on a day to day basis? On this idea of how we show up, how we put ourselves out there, whether it be on stages, whether it be on platforms, knowing
Mhm.
we're not meant to get along with everybody. We're not meant to have everybody like us. Yet there's this pressure that we're trying to appease and please. And I know you've talked about that idea about people being people pleasers. And how do you guide us? How do we do this where we want to be brave, we want to show up, knowing that not everybody's going to be ready for it, perhaps?
That's a question I think I'm still working on that.
Fair.
I'm still like there are spaces I walk in and I'm like, I know who I am.
Yeah.
I know who I am, Jam Gamble. I'm Jam
Yes,
Gamble
you
who's done
are.
this, that, that, and that, and that.
Yeah.
And then I go into somewhere new and I'm like, I'm a woman.
Mhm.
I'm I'm a coach.
Yeah.
I'm this, and I struggle. My gut is like my Jiminy Cricket. You
I
know,
love
remember from
that.
Pinocchio?
Of
Always let
course.
your conscience be. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my gut, like it sends me cues, and sometimes it sends me cues where it might be sending me a mixed message,
Mhm.
and I have to sit with that mixed message and unpack it. So
Yeah.
I encourage people who I work with. I even do myself. I do vocal audits.
Yes.
And when I'm in that moment and I'm feeling this discomfort, and I'm like, I want to do this, but why can't I?
Mhm.
Or I'm being this people pleaser, which I've actually stopped using that saying, a people pleaser. And this was you understand this. This is a fond response. It's a fond
Totally.
response. I'm
Yes.
just responding like a fawn would respond. And
That's
in a
right.
week or two, I will be Bambi.
That's
Okay,
right.
I will be stronger in a week or two. But I lean into it, and I lean into understanding, where is this coming from?
Yeah.
Where's this coming from? So I look up, I look down, and I look all around for the
I love
answers.
that. I love
You
that.
know, because if my gut is sending me mixed messages, I'm like, okay, let me unpack this. Let me look up what's going up here, what's going around,
Yeah.
what is this, and then it just centers me again.
Mhm.
It
Mhm.
centers me. I want people who are listening right now to remember who they are too.
Yes.
Because when we go into these new spaces, when we're trying to put ourselves out there, we tend to forget because we are trying to be a version that people are going to accept. We're
Yeah.
trying to be a version that is going to fit in, despite all those quotes out there. You know, why fit in when you're
Yeah.
born to stand out? Well, it's not always easy to stand
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
It's not always easy. But reminding yourself who the hell you are,
Mhm.
and even you could only start with one thing. I'm Jan Gamble. I'm Maria. I'm
Mhm.
Dr. Robin.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Start with knowing who you are.
Powerful. Absolutely. And, I think of Dr. Dwayne Dwyer's work where it's this idea of like one of the greatest things we can do, again, know who you are and know who you are not, right? As like you just explained that so beautifully. It's that where when you're feeling a little bit wobbly, trusting your intuition, that's like our oldest form of survival, right? When we think about our instincts and our intuition, it is the deepest knowing. And if we walk into
Mm,
situations and again, those little spidey senses or Jiminy Cricket are sending us some cues, again, we don't have to like dismiss that to actually be able to lean
yes.
into that, say, hey, I'm just gonna like, think I kind of think about how when somebody recently asked Oprah, like, when you go into a situation and you don't know what to do, what do you do? She's like, nothing. Like, I don't do it. I pause. I get
Yes.
my bearings and then I decide. Right. She's like, I
Yes.
don't rush. I do not. And she said it so beautifully. She's like, where she is in her life right now, she is not rushed. And again, slowing down, listening to those intuition pieces, listening
Mhm.
to those instincts, because it's keeping us alive, right? It's making sure that we're okay.
Here's the other thing. We're also not meant to be everywhere, like you said.
Yeah.
Like there's power in recognizing that.
Yeah.
There is power. Before, there were times where I would go into new spaces and then I call my husband or I text him and I go, I don't like it here. I'm coming home. I'm coming home. I don't,
Yeah.
I don't, I don't like this.
Yeah.
And then I go home and I go, okay, why didn't you like this? Well,
Yeah.
because I thought that everyone was going to want to network with me right away, or
Yeah.
I thought that it was going to be easy for me to, make my presence known and blah blah blah
Yeah.
blah 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 blah. I've matured.
Mhm.
I talk to myself a lot, but
Yes.
now I could go into certain spaces and go, what is this resistance? It's a
Mhm.
sign from the universe that I'm not supposed to be here, and I'm at peace with that.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
at peace with that. This is no longer elementary school where we're on the playground
Mhm.
walking from group to group and saying, are you my people? Are you my people? Are
Yeah.
you my people? I'm
Mhm.
perfectly fine going over to the swing over there and swinging by myself now.
Yeah. I love that. I love
I'm
that.
at peace.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're absolutely right, and it's that idea, the more you become comfortable in your own skin, like, that it's
Mhm,
just this gift that we give ourselves in terms of where we go in future, but also just
mhm,
this really beautiful place of compassion where we recognize, like, "Hey, we had to go through a lot of that uncomfortableness, a lot of that awkwardness till we got to this point," because again, I have no problem traveling by myself. I have no problem being by myself, eating a meal by myself because like I am now good company with myself because I stopped trying to fit in. And again, there's that difference between belonging and fitting in. And as a
Yes.
fellow speaker, there's sometimes where I'll go into an event, I'll have that vibe where I'm just like, "Oh, this isn't quite my people. This isn't quite my jam." And then I'm like, "Okay, it's a paycheck." And like before I would be like, "Oh, that's like no, that sounds shallow or that's no, some of this is just
Nope.
like I'm either earning, I'm learning, or I'm serving, right?" And so I'll walk into
Ooh.
that situation. I'm like, no, this is just a paycheck. And I don't try. I do the best that I can. I do, again, I give it my full effort, 100%, but I manage my expectations of how I will be received by that group or how that group
Yeah.
is going to somehow bring something back. And sometimes I'm pleasantly surprised and I'll walk in and be like, wow, I
Yeah.
did not think you were my people, but hey, look at us. We
Yeah.
kind of figured something out. And other times I leave being like, I will cash that paycheck and thank you very much for providing for my family. And I'm like, peace out. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Right. Peace out. We're done.
And in those moments, I think this is like our best friend is going to be our inner voice,
Yes.
right? There's a lot of noise sometimes. There's chaos where we're being bombarded with self-limiting beliefs and negativity.
Yeah.
Like, I don't belong here. This is not for me. I'm not the right person. I don't even look the part.
Yeah.
Whoa, pay
Yeah.
attention to what your inner voice is saying. And
Yeah.
back in the day, my inner voice might make me believe or confuse me and make me believe that I'm not comfortable because of something I'm doing wrong on my part.
That's
And
right.
now I can pay attention and go, hold on, let me filter out what's the
Yeah.
message? How am I speaking to myself? How am I holding space for myself? How am I encouraging myself with my inner voice? Because the environment's not going to provide it to me. So if they
Right.
aren't going to provide it to me, who will? I will.
Yes.
My
Yeah.
inner voice will. My inner
Yeah.
voice will tell me exactly what I need to say to myself, what I need to say, maybe out loud. And that only happens if you trust your voice.
Oh, that's beautifully
You
said.
cannot achieve that level of having your own inner voice that's going to hold you down if you haven't built a relationship where you trust it enough to go, that's what you're saying to me right now? Noted. Got
Yeah.
it. Okay.
Yeah. My wise self. Yeah, I love it. One of the strategies I talk about in my work is the idea when we do kind of pause, it's asking the question like, what story am I telling myself right now? Right? What story am I
Yeah.
telling myself? And I just slow down and be like, okay, the story I'm telling myself right now is, you know what? It's just trying to keep me safe. It's hard lessons learned. This isn't that. Right. And just using that again, that little bit of discernment and be like, whoa, what story am I telling myself? Which could be, again, you don't belong here. These aren't your people. You don't look the part. You didn't go to the right school or you did go to the wrong school, like whatever it might be. And then again,
Mhm.
that noise and that comes when we're in a state of dysregulation, when we're rushing, when we're hustling, when we're not giving ourselves time just to like regroup if we need to, take that exhalation, just take a moment and just be like, okay, what story am I telling myself? And then ask myself,
Mhm.
okay, what do I want to do with this information? Do I
Oh,
want to move
yes.
forward or do I want to pause? Do I want to flee? Do I want to call my husband or my partner and be like, no, peace out? Right. Or, and again, I even remember walking into an event. Oh gosh, I think I was in like one of the southern states and I walked in and it was like 7 in the morning and this like rock band was warming up at sound rehearsal and they were getting ready for the pyrotechnics. And it was like a concert. And I'm like, what the F? Like, where am I? Like, this is like an insurance conference. Like, why is there like a band and firecrackers and like pyrotechnics happening? And I literally texted one of my friends who's a musician who like would, oh my gosh, like in my mind, it's like he would love this moment, this
Mhm.
stage, the sound, the setup, the stack of Marshalls. And I'm just like, hi, I'm at like a sound test that's like a rock and roll concert. And I don't think that, like, I don't feel this isn't me. This isn't what I do. I don't run out on stage. I don't jump up and down. I don't scream. And,
Yes.
and it was interesting. Him just knowing that this doesn't feel like what I usually do. This feels a bit inauthentic. Literally just
Yeah.
being able to let one person in this massive world know I'm a little bit uncomfortable. I'm going to do my
Yeah.
job because I said I would. But even just having like one little anchor point in situations, I think sometimes can actually allow us to have the confidence to do what you just said in terms of like trusting our inner voice. Right. So even just
Yes.
anchoring to one trusted ally, one trusted person in a space. And again, he wasn't even in the same country, but at least one person I could voice. I
Could
feel a little bit
identify.
uncomfortable, right? I'm a bit nervous. This isn't really my this isn't my thing, but I just need you to know that. I'll do it, but I just need somebody to know, like, made the biggest difference for me to then be able to show up and do the thing.
And I love that you share that story because it reminds me that I've done that, but out loud with the audience.
Oh, I love that. Oh, I like that you're like, "We're all coming in. You're all on this journey with me."
Right? So when I was first building out Slay the Mic, building my brand,
Yes.
I was hosting TEDx. And the
Yeah.
night before, I was physically like just in shambles because I was like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, imposter syndrome is like at an all-time high right now. I woke up in the morning, I was feeling so queasy, and my mom was going to be there. And my mom is like one of my biggest cheerleaders, but also one of my biggest critics. And she'll
Oh,
always have feedback. And I was like
yeah.
wired for that. And I came out on stage and I looked at everybody and I was like, "Hi, can I be honest for a moment?" And they're like, "Yeah." I go, "I'm really nervous. My stomach is really gross right now. May I do a verbal vomit right now?" And
I
they're like,
love
"Yeah."
it.
And I go,
Yeah. Shake it out. Oh,
"Okay,
okay.
all
Yeah.
right, I'm good." And then I went on to kill it.
Yes, you
I
did.
went on to kill it. Why? Because my favorite saying is, "I rather acknowledge the elephant in my room before the elephant tramples me." I'm
Wow.
going to be speaking for 8 hours. I cannot have this elephant standing on
Yeah.
my neck.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I can't have that. I have to acknowledge it. And then back to what you said about when we show up, we're giving somebody permission to
Yep.
be like, hey, you could do this too. There
Yeah.
are still people in my community who show up and message me and say, I will never forget at TEDx.
Mhm.
I don't know why my hotel phone is ringing. I will never forget when they tell me you showed up at TEDx and you showed us what it means and what it looks like to own your emotions in real time.
I love that.
And I was like, yeah. And the minute I said it out loud, I was like, whew.
Yeah.
And I've gone into like I've been spinning lately, so I'm an athlete now, Dr.
Yes.
Rob. And if you want to clap for me, that's you're more than welcome to just give me a little brief round of applause. I received that. Thank
Yes.
you.
Yes,
I'm
Jim.
a
I will.
I'm a spinner. In the spin class, they go hard, right?
Yes.
They're pedaling and then they're spinning the towels and they're like,
Yeah.
yeah, ooh. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's not me.
Mhm.
And I'm just gonna be doing my little pedal over here. Thank you.
Yeah.
I like I have given myself permission by saying, you know what? Just for me to feel like myself, I don't have to go outside my comfort zone. I could
Yes.
still exist within my comfort zone and
Yeah.
still be strong and still be confident and still fit in by pedaling to the beat of my own drum, if that makes sense.
Yes. I love that. And I love that it's this idea of it's that adaptability, that versatility. We're
Yeah.
recognizing I know who I am, I know what matters most, I know how to figure this out, and I'm okay with that. And again, it ties back to this idea of I know who I am, I know who I am
Mhm.
not.
Mhm.
There's nobody I'm trying to please, there's no one I'm trying to do. I love that. Just recently, I could share with you super quick. Just recently, I love, as I said, cheering for people out loud. I love watching people win. It's my favorite thing. It's why I love the
Mhm.
Olympics. It's why I love sports. I just love expressions of celebration. And just recently, I actually was in like, I think I was Quebec City, and there were these massive set of stairs. Like, I mean, stairs upon stairs upon stairs upon stairs. And they were like old rickety wood stairs. And Jim, I was like going up the stairs, and then this woman was ahead of me, and she
Hold
clearly
on,
was
you
on.
went up the stairs?
Yeah,
You went up?
yes, we're going up, right? So there's the like the vernaculars over here, which you can take the little trolley car, and I'm going up these wooden stairs, and I get to the top, and this woman's in front of me, right? So I've kind of watched her kind of going up the stairs, and we get to the top, and she stops and takes a drink of her water bottle, and then I get to the top, and I like run over, and I'm like high fives, like we made it to the top, and she looked at me like I was like stranger danger, like what are you doing, crazy redhead woman? Speaking English, and I'm just like, "Are we not gonna celebrate? Like, that was really hard, and we did it." And she's just like, "Mhm," and she, like, left, and I just had a moment where I'm just like, "Oh, okay, so that wasn't the time to celebrate." Like, and then I did the high five to myself and, continued on, and again, it's recognizing it's like, I know like, there's no judgment of that woman. I totally took she was caught off guard, like, "Who is this random woman who is high-fiving me?" But again,
Well, here's the thing.
it's
Let me be
fine.
the devil's advocate. Maybe
Yeah,
she's never had somebody take a moment to celebrate with her. Maybe this is
exactly.
foreign to her.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And I love the idea of let's make it so we celebrate all of the things. We are so quick to point out negatives. We are so quick to kind of not even pay attention to each other. And, my hope and in what our conversation, what I really hope it could be of service to people to get a couple ideas on, how to say something when you don't know what to say. How do you know who you are? Trusting your instincts, finding your spaces, figuring out how you do it, however best is of service to you, because then you can be of service of other. And also,
Mhm.
like, cheer out loud for the good parts. There's so many negative
Yeah.
things. There's so much hate. There's so many parts about the world that are so unwell. And there's people like Jam who's coming out there and she's doing her spin class her way. And she's giving people permission that we can start a TEDx talk scared and have that little bit of nervousness, and we can channel it and validate it. And
Yes.
then it could be a growth and learning opportunity for other people. So
Yeah,
thank you. Thank you.
I love encouraging people by saying, today I'll say something my future self will thank me for.
Oh, that's
So
good.
what can you say today that
Mm,
a future version of you is going to say, you know what, I'm so glad you reassured us that we could get through this hardship. I'm so glad that you said that we could high five a stranger while walking up a really rickety whack
yeah.
stairs.
Yeah,
Like, I'm so glad. And that future version of you might be a week from now, it might be a
mm,
month from now, it might be a year from now. And that, again, is how we build that confidence and that trust in ourselves that we can do the thing. We could get through the thing, we could do the thing,
yeah,
we could achieve the thing, we could avoid the thing,
yeah.
we could avoid the thing simply by saying something today to ourselves that, you know what, it's going to carry us to that
That's
point.
beautiful. So very well said. Well, Jim, I could talk to you for days. Oh my goodness. Thank you for this. One last quick little note. We do our wellness relay where a previous guest has left a question for you. This question feels oh, it's a juicy one. It's like, I think it's going to be, I can't wait to hear your answer. And again, there's no pressure. We'll collect your question after. But the question that was left for the next guest is, what practice of emotional rest and recovery are you doing that's working for you? So what practice of to get emotional rest and recovery do you think works or that works for you?
Oh, that's a fantastic question.
It's a
And what
juicy one.
works for me, I love watching Disney shorts
Oh, yes.
and just crying.
Oh, 5 minutes of the world is okay. Yes.
Some of them have no narration and you
Yeah.
create the story in your head. Others do. And
Yeah.
I am left in a puddle every single time. And what takes it to another level for me is watching it with my husband because
Oh,
I am giving myself permission to cry in front of someone else.
yes.
Not just to be in this moment alone and like, okay, I'm just gonna wait until no one's home with me and I'm just gonna have this big emotional moment. No, he's sitting right there like,
Yeah.
oh God, geez. And then I feel, oh,
Cathartic, right? It's
oh
cathartic
God,
to
they're so
watching.
good.
So good. I
So good.
love I love that. Oh my goodness.
Mhm.
Thank you for reminding us the power of a Disney short. Oh
Please go
my
watch the
goodness.
one with the little Loch Ness monster who like lost her home and she
Yeah.
cried for days.
Oh, I know exactly which one you're talking about. They had that one. Oh my goodness. I can't even remember what Disney movie I went to with my kids. And that was like the one that they showed before the movie started. I am bawling. Like, I mean, like snotty bawling, like eyelashes coming off. And again, I remember the kids being just like, Mom, like, can like try a little bit. Like, yeah. Oh my, I know exactly. We'll make sure to put a link to that in the show notes because I want people to also have that experience with the little Loch Ness monster.
Yes.
It's so good. Oh my gosh. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the gift of your time. I hope we can keep
Thank
having
you.
conversations like this because it feels like this is what the world needs right now. So again, Jim, thank you. I wish you and safe travels on your holidays, and we're cheering you on.
Thank you. Pleasure connecting.
Thank you for spending time with this podcast episode today. I hope you found something helpful in Resiliency Redefined. Please feel free to share it with somebody who you might think could benefit. Maybe there was something useful, something in particular that you think you could pay forward. Also, if you have a moment, please feel free to rate and review this podcast wherever you like to listen to your podcast. It means the world to me. And again, thanks for your time. Thank you for your interest. Take good care, and I'll see you next time.